All right, guys. So interesting webinar for us today. We've got LG, we've got Dave Cusick in the house. So LG, when you think of LG, you think of TVs, but what you really need to think of is DVLEDs, otherwise known as video walls. This is what's going to be the home theater of the future. It's already starting. The revolution away from two DVLEDs from projectors and screens is happening now. So we need to pay attention to it. We need to learn about it now. LG is our one and only video wall partner. So we're excited about having them, and they deserve all your money. So support them. What you need to know is LG is a massive company. They have a nice small division headed by Dave, to deal with our channel, which is awesome. And I'm going to introduce Dave Cusick, who I've known forever, first with Fujitsu, then with New Vision. Now he's with a company that's too big for him to kill. So we're excited about that. Dave, take it away, buddy.
Well, thanks for that glowing reference, Eric. I appreciate it. So today we're going to kind of help people understand what DVLED is. And then we're also going to help you understand, how LG is a little different from everyone else. So, when we talk about direct view LED, it's really the next step. And we've been here before. We were here when we were moving people from CRT TVs to flat screens and moving them up in expense. We were here when we were moving people from 2K to 4K. We were here when we were moving people from regular television to HD. Well, now the new high end, if you will, is direct view LED. So we need to kind of have that mindset. And so this picture kind of represents, the customer we're looking for. This is not going to be your everyday customer. This is a very high-end customer, but they are also totally unaware this even exists. So I am Dave Cusick, Senior Account Manager. I'm available anytime you need to talk about direct view LED, and you can reach me both through email or a cell phone. Others from LG are on the call. Paul from Paul from our marketing department, Nick from our technical training academy, all here to answer your questions. So first thing, let's talk about the technology. Eric used the word video wall, which is very common when we talk about direct view LED, but I think there's some confusion about video walls because in the past, when we talked about video walls, we were predominantly talking about LCD. And we all have been through LCD walls where we put up 55-inch displays and put them together. And, there are some detriments to that. Number one, you see the bezels. Number two, if you have a service issue, you're going to have to pull one of those 55s out, send it in for service, and wait for it to be repaired. Direct view LED is very counterintuitive. We actually take much smaller displays. They're typically somewhere around 27-inch diagonal. In the case of home theater, they're 16 by 9. And we take those and we put those smaller monitors together to create what will end up being a totally seamless image. And so I say it's counterintuitive because you explain this to someone, they're like, how can that be? But that's actually how it works. So if you're looking at if you're looking at LCD, you'll see the bezels. But if you're looking at direct view LED, you will not see the bezels. You'll be about 2 feet away and lose all sight of the seams. So why do we work so hard to call it direct view LED? Well, the answer is that, our friends in the TV business did us a real service a couple of years ago when they introduced LED TVs, which is really an LCD TV with LED backlighting. So your customer may think, oh, I have LED or I've seen LED. Direct view LED is a much different thing. The LEDs are right in front of you without any glass coating, without anything over it. So it's a much more vivid, bright, exciting experience to see. So if the customer hasn't seen it, they need to see it. So this is something new. And again, something they're probably totally unaware of. So we want to explain that we're part of the LG commercial division. And the reason is that we have the experience, the support, the engineering to do direct view LED. So consumer continues to sell OLED TVs, which we do not. You would typically buy your OLEDs through your local distributor, et cetera. But for direct view LED, you'll come to us because, again, we have the experience and the knowledge to help you. So LED has become so in the forefront lately because there's been a big change in the customer. The customer used to do a dedicated home theater, have a dark room available, but now they move more and more towards a multi-purpose solution. And so instead of wanting to turn the lights off and close up the windows, they would much rather watch their football game on a Sunday with all the lights on and the windows available. And the only technology that will really let that happen is direct view LED. It is totally seamless. You can do any size or shape. We typically do 16:9, but it's not unheard of for us to quote a 2:3:5 screen, and God help me, a 4:3 screen. Brightness is incredible, and you will never have to worry about brightness on one of these. We typically run our walls at about half brightness, so there's still plenty of range if you need it. Beautiful colors, unmatched uniformity. We don't have any issues compared to projection. For example, if you stand in the center of the screen and walk to the edge, you will not see any loss, no change in your image. You can watch from the farthest edge viewing angle and see the same image as the center. A very wide viewing angle, and then a long life, which we'll talk about in a minute. And if you specifically use the SMD version of direct view LED, you will have no glare. So it's a great solution in situations where sun's an issue or bright lights. Direct view LED will handle that really well. So what are the components of a direct view LED system? We break it down from the pixel, the module, the cabinet, and the controller. Now the pixel is an LED diode, red, green, and blue. Those are put together to make one pixel. And there's a factory where there's a big machine like a printer, and that machine essentially takes an empty board into it, and then the machine will install row after row of pixels in a very quick fashion. And so that board that went into that machine comes out, we then change its name and we call it the module. The module houses all your LEDs, and that's what creates your brightness and your video. And the module is the last piece to be installed on the wall, and it's typically magnetic. And so the last step will be that you walk around with these modules and magnetically just insert them into the front of the screen. Now, modules are a key element for a couple of reasons. Number one, if there's a problem, typically something's hit the unit, or unusually there might be a technical problem. You can literally just go into your customer's home, pull a spare module, and spare parts come with your wall. And you can swap that module in 5 minutes and have the customer back up in business. And they'll wonder how you fixed it so quickly. So, the module is a very key part of the direct view LED wall. And it's very important you deal with someone that not only provides you spare parts kits, but also has a capability for repair. And so in the case of LG, if you do have a problem module, it would be covered typically under warranty. You would get a RA number from us, send it in for service, and get it back repaired in 2 to 3 weeks. So there's really never a situation where the customer would ever be in a disrepair solution, because we can usually go in and swap something and have it back in business very quickly. Moving on. The other thing about modules is they're typically front replaceable. So in the past, direct view LED walls are a lot more complicated. You had to build them from the back and then get access to the back. But today, you can walk up with your magnetic or your vacuum tool and just pull the module out, put the new one in with magnets, and like I said, in 5 minutes, you'll have that replaced. As far as spare parts kits, we use the number 5%. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's a large spare parts kit. And if you want more, we can work on that. Another key element to having a spare parts kit is you want to make sure these modules all match. And so if you buy all the modules at once, they came off the same line, the same production, the same LED diodes. If you wait a year to buy a module, it's unlikely they're going to match for a couple reasons. Number one, you've had a little age on your wall. That typically doesn't have a lot of impact. But the other thing is the manufacturer of the module may have gone to different types of diodes or different manufacturers. So you want the modules to match and to be of the same LED batch. So the first part you're going to install is the mount. And then after the mount, the cabinet or the panel will be installed. And so the panel is what houses the modules, and it's also what you wire for both data and power. So you'll have data coming from a controller in a rack, and that will feed the panel, and then you'll have power located locally. And then once those are hooked up properly, you will have green lights that indicate your setup. As I mentioned, the controller is kind of the brains of the operation, and that's typically located in the rack. And that is what your input will go into. So you might have a couple sources in your rack feeding the controller, and then the controller will break down your input into Cat6 cables. The number of Cat6 cables running to the wall is determined by the size and resolution of the wall. So typically, if you're doing, for example, a 5x5 wall, you would have 5 Cat6 cables running from the rack to the wall. They can run up to 100 feet without any boost or anything. And then once they are connected, you would just use 1-foot jumper cables to move from one panel to the other. So you might start at the bottom of one row and then just use jumper cables to continue up that row. So there are actually different types of LED. And so the most popular and the most common are SMD, or surface mount diode. And one way you can easily tell if it's surface mount diode is if you go up and touch it, you'll notice it's a little rough to the touch. And the reason is that you're actually feeling the LEDs in that panel. So SMD LED panels are pretty much raw. You can feel the LEDs, and yes, if you bump into them with a wrench or knock into them with metal, you can actually remove LEDs. One issue that comes up here is when you're installing modules, if you're not doing it right, you might be removing lines of modules from the module next to it. So we'll explain to you how we help you with that. But if you see lines of modules out, more than likely someone was putting in, if you see lines of diodes out, more than likely somebody was installing the modules who had not been trained properly. The next step up from SMD, and by the way, SMD is 90% of what is sold and what is used. So don't be afraid of SMD. It's very, very common and the most cost effective. Now, if we move to the next level, this is really made for the public place. If you're doing a bar, restaurant, a museum, you might want to consider moving up to what we call IMD. And IMD, if you remember, we go back to that factory and that machine is putting in the pixels. Well, now the pixel it's putting in has a clear protective surface. It's invisible to the eye. You would not notice it playing video. But if you went up to touch this module, it would be smooth to the touch. And it's rated for a pretty high tolerance of being abused. So for example, if you drop an SMD module on the ground, you're going to break it. But if you drop an IMD module on the ground, more than likely it will be okay. So IMD is kind of that step up protective level for when you're putting a wall in a public situation. And then finally, the top of the line and best looking video quality in LED is called chip on board, or COB. If you've ever been walking the show and one of the direct field LED manufacturers is there and the video is outstanding, more than likely that's a COB product. So chip on board, if we go back to the factory into the machine putting in pixels, we're changing it from LED diodes to a red, green, and blue microchip. And the benefits of a red, green, and blue microchip are video quality and black level and durability. So this is a real step up compared to SMD or IMD. But as you would guess, it's also a very high step in pricing. So it's something that you really have to move up to, but it is going to give you the best video performance in direct field LED. Now we hear a term thrown around a lot, micro LED. And you know, what does micro LED mean? Well, unfortunately, different manufacturers have used it for different meanings. Some use it to describe their top-end technology, which in some cases isn't chip on board. Others use it to describe the whole category. So when I hear micro LED, I always ask, you know, what is it you mean by micro LED? Because I've literally had people call me and say, hey, can you help me with micro LED? And what they mean is the whole category. So you just need to get a little more information when you hear that term. So the types of LED, and by the way, this will be on the quiz. Surface mount diode is SMD, integrated mount diode is IMD, and chip on board is COB. Another variable, and I like that word because what we do at LG is we help you a lot with the variables. But another variable here is pixel pitch. And pixel pitch is a description of the distance between pixels. So if I'm driving down the highway and I see a gas price, and then I pull over and I look at that sign while I'm filling with gas, it'll look very, very different, because a mile away, I was looking at 20 millimeter pixel pitch and it looked very smooth to my eye. But as I got closer and closer, I saw the separation more and more in those pixels. Well, this is a much finer thing in the house environment. We don't have situations where the pixels are that drastic. But our goal is to have a pixel pitch that allows the customer to be at their normal seated position and see a smooth image. So, we're going to ask you, when you ask us for a quote, we only really need 2 questions answered. We need to know what size screen are you trying to do, and how far away will the customer be sitting? And with those 2 questions answered, we will generate a full quote to you. You don't need to know the technical details. You don't need to know what panel you're using or how many cables or any of that. That will all come together on our quote. So getting back to pixel pitch, our goal is to have a smooth image for a customer. Now, the alternative to that is, if the lower the pixel pitch, the closer we can be to the wall, but also the more expensive. So a 1.5 millimeter is typically our starting point in a home, and that can be viewed from about 8 feet or further away. And then if we need to go closer, we'll reduce your quote and we'll use a 1.2 millimeter or even a 0.9 if we need to. But each time we make that change, the price escalates. So we need to just, use common sense and saying, okay, where is this going to go? And we can help you decide on pixel pitch and quote it properly. So some people in the past have used the ×10 rule. So I'm going to use 1.9 because they're 19 feet away. I'm going to use 1.6, but they're 60 feet away. As a guesstimate, that's fine, but it's really very conservative. We will help you with pixel pitch when you come to us for a quotation. So I mentioned earlier, the life on the product's 100,000 hours to half brightness. So this rating was developed running product at full brightness. Well, as I mentioned, our walls typically run at 50% brightness. So this life is probably longer. And, if you look into that a little bit, you'll find out that's a really long time. So one, we're going to get a lot of life out of this, and you want to make sure you're working with a vendor that's going to be around that long. Number 2, this also comes into discussion during the sales proposal process, because in many cases, we're being compared to an expensive projector. And my question to the dealer is, are you reminding the customer that this is going to last 100,000 hours? And, the light bulb, I'll see the light bulb go on, they'll go, oh, you know what, I didn't mention that. And they'll go, well, what's the life on the other product being, offered? And they'll look it up and it's 20 or 30,000 hours to half brightness. So yeah, we might be a little more money, but if you do the comparison, you'll find out they need 2 or 3 of that product to last as long as ours. So what do you get within our quote and our orders? First of all, you get a 5% spare parts kit as our default. That's high for the industry. The starting point is typically 2%. Number 2, the controller comes with it, the module tool, and on-site technicians, which means when you do your install, an LG DirectView LED engineer is going to be on site with you during that install. Now, if you want us to hire a third party to help you do it, so you don't have to do the install, we're happy to do that. But our proposal is this. You're going to go in and do the on-site install. You're going to have a trained engineer on site to train you on the things you don't know. So for starting very basic, the engineer's there to help you understand how to hang that panel, how to wire it, how to tighten it, how to get the controller set up. And the reason we do that is selfish. We want you to learn how to do this so you'll sell more of our product. So the other thing this really helps you, the dealer, on is that 30 days after your install, if there's some technical question, you don't have to figure out where this third-party contractor is that put in the wall and get them on the line. You have been on site doing these things, and you know exactly what to do to help the customer. Now, if you need it, that DirectView LED engineer that you dealt with on your install is a cell phone number away. So it's not hard at all to get someone on the phone to help you, or even to get somebody on site if that's necessary. And then we'll talk about our bundles in a minute. If you use one of our bundles, you'll move from a 3-year to a 5-year warranty. Now, I want to address the controller for a minute. In our language, a controller is essentially the interpreter between your input and what goes to the wall. So that does not include scaling or processing for a reason. A lot of times the scaling and processing built into a controller is what I would describe as basic. And in many cases, we're installing very sophisticated walls. So we want you to pick the tiler video wall processor that you need for your job. And there's plenty of third-party organizations that offer those, and we can help you pick the right one. But we kind of separate the two so that it's not so confusing. So how do we benefit dealers? Well, number one, our staff. We are strictly dedicated.
Dave, can I interrupt you for 1 sec with a question?
Yes, sir.
Mounting.
Yeah. So what we do is we issue a quote that includes a peerless mount. And that peerless mount is made specifically for that product. And so you can choose to use that mount if you want to, or not. It really doesn't hurt us one way or the other. But LG is not a mount company. We don't make mounts. So we provide you with a high quality option. And that is on the final dealer quote that comes to the dealer.
Awesome. Thanks.
So again, we don't have commercial distractions. We are dedicated to the home theater category. I'm really proud of the fact that we've delivered like 90% of our orders on time this year. We typically have the product in stock, and it's very rare that we don't. We do have unique home theater SKUs, so we do not have commercial SKUs in our product line. And what that does for you is that covers our SKUs are not on the internet. And so our dealers are able to make nice margin on our product. We typically deliver quotes in less than 48 hours. And what we hear is that's not always the case. From an install standpoint, we're here to help you with engineering support when you're designing your wall. We'll help you order the right thing and make sure that's done properly. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll have engineers on site at your installation. From a support standpoint, once you sell your wall, at no cost to you or your customer for 3 years, an LG factory service person from your area will call you and arrange to go in and visit the wall twice a year at no additional charge. Their purpose will be to review the wall and make sure it's working properly. And if they do find an issue, they will take care of repairing it. You will not have to get involved. So for 3 years, we will provide that service at no charge. And then, as I mentioned earlier, most of our bundles jump from a 3-year to a 5-year warranty. So how installation works is we put in our mount and we make sure it's smooth and smooth and plumb. And many mounts today have X, Y, and Z axis adjustments right on them. So hopefully we don't need metal shims to do that. You notice there's little keyholes at the top. So there's pins on the back of the panels, and you literally can just put the pins into these holes and it sinks into place. So one person can hang the panels. As we move through the process, we make sure our wall is smooth, and unfortunately not all walls that we deal with are smooth. So you will have to make adjustments throughout. And then you can see in the lower right corner, we have a panel being ready to be installed. We're going to go through and mount all our panels. We're going to wire them. And then each panel has an Allen wrench adjustment for top and bottom, where I will go in and turn that Allen wrench hole, and a clamp will come out from one panel and clamp into the panel next. And what that does is that makes a very, very tight, closed installation. So again, if you're doing installation or working with a panel, you might need to use your module tools. Some are magnetic, some are vacuum. And that's how you remove and replace modules. When you're finished, you're going to have a 100% smooth wall with no visible seams, and your customer is going to wonder when you carried this big TV into their house. So we have all kinds of I'm sorry, was there a question?
Yeah, Dave, hi, it's Jeff. There's 2 questions that before we move on that seem probably relevant to the subject you were just covering.
Yep.
One is, can we do multi-formats from a 235 down to a 4.3 or 4:3 image with the rest of the screen going black, like letterboxing and the pillar boxing?
Absolutely, and that's done through a more expensive, what they call video wall processor. So the video wall processor will be set up for the different aspect ratios, and through your remote control system, you'll be able to specify which one goes with one source, etc. And just as they said, you will have black bars in certain areas depending on what aspect ratio you're doing.
Okay. And then
And just as an example, we just put in a 235 screen, 281 inch, and that's acting as the home theater screen. And they did use a processor to do that.
okay. And then the next question is there a method to recalibrate the new module to the same brightness as the surrounding aged old modules?
The answer is yes. That's done through the controller software. So you would hook up a laptop to the controller and be able to make individual adjustments based on modules. It's not a fun, easy thing to do, but it is something you can do through the controller software.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Now, again, we have plenty of products available, indoor and outdoor, and some special product. But the whole point is that you don't need to know our product numbers or model numbers. When you come to us for a quote, we're going to help you understand what you should be using for what purpose. And if you have questions about it, we'll explain why we chose that panel. We have plenty of products available. We have several versions sometimes. So sometimes one product's good for one purpose and not for other. For example, if you're flush mounting a wall, we have a product that's very, very thin. And so that's a product we would recommend in those circumstances. So just come to us and tell us kind of what your requirements are, and we will help you from there. Now, we have a product that I would describe as a shortcut. It's an all-in-one product, which means everything comes in one shipping case. In this one situation, that includes the mount. Normally, the mount would be separate, but in this one situation, it comes with it. So essentially, you get a 136-inch, 1.5 millimeter wall that can be installed out of one shipping case. And because it's a shortcut, it has some uniqueness. Number one, the panels, instead of being the individual 27-inch panels, we only have two panels. They're large. They're roughly 4x4 or even 5x5. You're going to hang the mount that comes with it on the wall, and then you're going to hang a left panel and a right panel. You're going to wire them and put them together with Allen wrench adjustments, so that'll take 15 minutes. And then once you do that, you have your wall built. You don't need to put up individual panels. Number two, once you do that, you start putting in the modules. The modules come with it. It's going to take about an hour to put the modules in magnetically. Once you've done that, you're done. It's plug and play. The controller is built into the back of the panel, so you do not have to run Cat6 cables like a typical wall. So dealers are amazed by this product, and it comes in very, very handy with those situations where the customer is considering projection, but they can't because of sunlight, because of lighting, etc. Now this panel, our nickname for this panel is the all-in-one 136. And the next question you're going to ask is it 4K? The answer is no, it's 2K, 1080p. But I have to tell you, this product has gone over very, very well. Again, because LED is so unique and seeing the vivid brightness and imagery in front of you, the customers are very happy with the image quality. The list price on this product is $80,000. The dealer price on this product is under $40,000. So this is a significant opportunity for you to sell a direct view LED at a great price, make some money, and the average install time for a new dealer on this product is under 5 hours. So again, a really nice, unique product that does us really well. I'm going to change screens here, and I'm going to show you a video of that product being assembled. So as you see, they opened one shipping case, they're hanging the mount. And then once they're done hanging them out, they're going to hang a left and a right panel. And then involved there is just 4 or 5 wires on the inside. And then they're going to slide it together. The mount's made for that to happen. They turn 3 Allen wrench screws, and their panel is now complete. And now they're going to start putting in the modules. You'll see the units already starting to light up. So once they're done putting in the modules, they are ready to plug in their source and be ready to go. So you do not have to do any calibration, no software. Again, a very, very nice, easy install.
So Dave, it seems to me that the way that bracket is configured, your back panel, the the fact that the wall is uneven, so you sort of address that issue, right?
Correct.
Two big panels, which we've run into with other video wall systems, where if the wall wasn't flat, we were just SOL.
No, there is some adjustment built into this. And I got to tell you, this has become very, very popular in houses. One, because it's so easy to install, but also, if a projector is not going to work, this is a super replacement for projection. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint.
2 quick questions.
Yep.
Is there any option for multi-window processing?
No, you would need a separate video wall processor to do that, but in this category, that could be $1,000. It doesn't have to be a very expensive device. It could be even something called a tiler.
Okay, and is there a 136 HDCP 2.2?
Could you repeat that?
Is the 136 inch TV HDCP 2.2?
I'm 90% sure the answer is yes.
Okay.
But I will confirm that. We have installed probably something close to 60 of these in homes, and I have yet to have any issue. So my guess is the answer is yes.
Okay. What are the power requirements, and can it be in one outlet?
So the answer this year was 2 power cords, but starting January, we have a new updated model that only requires 1 power cord, but it would be a dedicated 20 amp circuit. Now, going top of the line here, on February 1st, we're introducing a 136 4K COB magnet product. Magnet is LG's name for anything COB. So as you remember, COB is our top of the line product. This was shown at CEDIA and had a line of people looking at it. So it's a 136 4K resolution chip on board product that's made exclusively for residents. This product will be top of the line in the marketplace. And this product will have a residential controller. It'll be 120 hertz. It will have a number of inputs, a couple options for installation, but we don't have all the details yet. But again, it's coming very quickly. The estimated retail price on this product is going to be somewhere around $250,000. So it is top of the line, but you do have customers looking for the best. This is the best. Again, this is called the 136 inch 4K magnet. And you can expect other products to be joining this category. These are the specs on this product. So I mentioned 120 hertz, I mentioned HDR, it's 150,000 to 1 contrast. And again, this is a residential oriented product with a residential remote.
Follow-up question.
Yep.
Are power requirements the same on most all residential solutions?
I would have to say no, because as we get into larger sizes and denser pixel pitches, we move to 220 amp dedicated circuits, and potentially, if you had a big enough wall, it would be 3, but you'd have to have a very large wall for it to be 3. So I would say it's either 1 or 2 dedicated circuits right now. So that's the answer.
Great, thanks.
So Paul, are you on?
I am.
So I'd like to welcome Paul from our marketing department to talk about some of our marketing efforts.
Thanks, Dave. So I'll just take a couple quick minutes because I know there's a bunch of other content here and you guys are coming up with some great questions. So continue to ask away, but just wanted to let you know that a few things. One, we have a dedicated web page for these products that you can actually access and find a detailed brochure as well as a 2-page flyer. And in talking to Dave, we'll make sure we'll get all these links to you guys after the fact, so you're not having to try to take pictures of this or write this down. So we'll get this to you after the WebEx. Next slide. Just as an FYI too, we've done a bunch of activity, including launching the new 4K 136 inch that Dave was just talking about at CEDIA. Had really good reception for the product. It looked awesome. You can see an example of it there in the picture from CEDIA, where we did an official announcement at the show. And then we're also going to be doing a media alert very soon, just bringing attention to the fact that it will be available very soon for sale. Next slide. And just as Dave was speaking, we do have a new 4K 136-inch magnet brochure that's in process right now. Once we get that up and running, we will get that on our sales gateway, which is our repository, as well as putting it on the website that I just referenced in that first slide. But in addition to that, we're also doing some thought leadership and byline articles in the industry just to get LG's name out there in the extreme home cinema area. So you'll continue to see more PR efforts from LG over the next few months. And then just if possible, I just want to make sure we emphasize around social media. If you guys can follow us, it'd be awesome. And if you guys want to amplify anything that we're posting, that would be great too. You'll see our handles right there. And again, we'll supply this to you after the fact. And then we also have a video of Dave explaining the new 4K 136 from one of our recent trade shows. So you can find that on YouTube pretty easy. Just search for LG commercial displays and you'll see Dave come up as one of the prime videos that we have out there. And just again, I wanted to emphasize our social media handles. And then finally, the one thing I wanted to just make you guys aware of, we continue to look for opportunities for case studies. So if you do have a successful installation into the future, we'd love to be able to promote you as well as the technology that you're installing. So please reach out to Dave with any future opportunities, and we'd love to talk to you and your customer around that exciting installation.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Question, are you running any television commercials?
We are not running any television commercials yet. It's under consideration.
And are there any models that are DCI compliant?
No. Well, let me rephrase. We do have cinema rated DCI product, and there is a theater in Buena Park, California that has LG direct field LED as their basis for showing movies. You know, it's a very different animal when you talk about theaters. You're going down to something like 50 nits of brightness compared to 600 nits. So the question is, are we going to make a home-oriented DCI? And that is future. Right now, the smallest size we can get is a 5-meter wide. We are pushing for a 3-meter wide. So that is being discussed, and we are hopeful that will move in the future. But as of yet, the smallest we can do is a 5-meter wide in the theater version. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
So we have technical training available for your engineers and technicians. We call that the Technical Training Academy. That is in our commercial headquarters in Lincolnshire, Illinois, which is just north of Chicago. And so this is a hands-on training for those that will be working hands-on with direct field LED. It's 3 full days, well, 2.5 days, but it's really 3 days of very heavy-duty training on the philosophy behind installations, the formulas needed, the ins and outs of how you do it. You'll see people are actually working hands-on with direct field LED and able to, you know, handle whatever issues. So Nick, I see you. Can you speak?
I can. Luckily, I'm with Paul here, so.
Great. All right.
Yes.
If you can take over then.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Nick Herron. I'm using Paul's Zoom right now. No user error on my end, I promise. So yeah, the LGU, we are identified as the LG Academy, but our program is LGU. Now that's sometimes used as LG University, but I assure you, the way we created it is LG and you. LG supports you. It's all about making sure you are qualified and you are comfortable with installing multiple different product lines, DVLED an example. So what you're seeing here is part of our certification level 1 class. We go through terminologies, the technology, just kind of how Dave did earlier. But we dive further into that, explaining, you know, the signal flow, power, understanding, you know, how each part of all the cabinets, because a lot of them are unique in their own way, performs and is able to be installed. You can see some pictures over there. We even go into how to align a mount. Most of the time, the mount manufacturer, like Dave said, Peerless, they send their own people in to ensure that that mount is correct. But it's always nice to have a little bit of back knowledge so you can kind of, verify that they're doing the right way. You can see there it's a 2.5-day class. So the first day is a half day of almost death by PowerPoint, but there's a lot of highly immense visuals within the PowerPoint, and you do get to touch some product, understand how it works before we get into the remaining of the 2 days, which by the end of those 2 days, you will have a 2-part exam to be certified. That would be a 25-question written test, multiple choice, as well as a hands-on test, kind of like how you see the individuals there with their training carts. It would be on you to be able to take a wall that we kind of destroy in a kindly manner, one of my favorite parts of it, and then you are required to fix all the issues we've implemented as well as get content to the screen. Once that is done, we will check mark that and you will receive certification. On top of that, you will also receive up to 32 RU credits for Avixa. So for renewal credits, you would get 32, 16 CTS and 16 CTS-I. That QR code there you can scan with your mobile, which will at least give you some more information about this class, as well as how to prepare, as well as registration. So that'll take you right into the LGU portal and you can do your research. We do plan on offering more classes as we build it, but this is our inaugural one. Next slide, please.
So Nick, just before we do that, not to make it too scary, you guys have trained them on the test, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Everything that's on the test is something that we've gone through during the 3 days or 2.5 days. And just as a side, it is open book. So, it's not super crazy. And we are striving. We understand people start from nothing. I started from nothing. So we totally want to support you through the whole process. However, it is our goal to make sure that when you leave as a certified installer or engineer that for LG products, that you would be able to represent that correctly. Obviously, we want the best in that. So, but we will be there the whole time to help you out. Some additional trainings that we do provide if you're not able to take that register or that certification class in time for a project. The DVLED pre-installation course is a webinar. That's 1 hour. It really dives in deep of what you need to kind of look out for before you receive the product, what to do when you do receive the product, and then pretty much all the tips and tricks that we've seen through in the field. The golden nuggets is what I usually call it. That will help you prepare yourself for the project. And we also dive into the drawings and different things that are given by LG to the project. So it's really focused on that project and that project alone through that. The DVLED controller, we have multiple handbooks that we've created throughout this process. The certification program gets its own handbook, but we also offer multiple different pieces, including like this controller handbook that can be gone over. You can print it, you can download it and look it through, on your laptop or whatnot, what have you. But we do offer that. And then I have some up and coming like the DVLED 101. That is basic, straightforward, the foundation. We don't go into really too much configuration, no software. We talk about them, but really it's to get you onto a solid foundation to where then you could go and talk about DVLED correctly. And then the DVLED design is the advanced class. That would be the level 2 from the level 1, where we go into actual power and signal calculations, BTU calculations, even going in past what I call the squares and rectangles, which is what normal displays look like. We're going into creative displays, how to change the X, Y coordinates for the content itself, orientating that content. So it really goes further into the aspect if you want to dive deep into it.
Paul, question for you.
Absolutely.
We're being asked, where do you hold the certification?
We hold the certification currently here in the Lincolnshire office. But however, we are planning and we are currently developing the traveling training course. So if you have right now probably 10 or more people that would like to get trained on this, we will have carts just like what we have here in Lincolnshire. We will ship those out there. Matt and I, which is my counterpart, Matt Myers, will go into your facility or where we want to hold it. We've done it in hotels as well and expo centers. We will perform that whole installation class right there. So you don't have to really worry about sending multiple people. And that's Lincolnshire, Illinois, by the way.
Okay. And
Suburbs
then
of
also,
Chicago.
also we have a question is, do people attending the training get any CEDIA training credits?
We are currently in process of getting CEDIA certification credits. Right now, we've been able to acquire the AVIXA, but that's our next step. So it should be here soon.
Okay. One more question is there
CEDIA,
a demo price?
and AVIXA are the same.
No. Okay.
Okay. Is there demo pricing available? If someone wants to put this in their showroom.
The answer is yes. They would need to communicate with their local reps and we could answer that question.
Got it.
All right, Nick, thank you.
Absolutely.
So where can you see one of these? Well, right now, this is a list of our demo facilities, but we're adding more. And you can expect, first of all, you can see the LA Business Innovation Center. That's in downtown LA. That does have the all-in-one 136 2K that we described. And it also has the new 136 4K. That's the first demo unit to come to the country. But we do have more coming. We do expect to have a number of 4K magnets available for viewing around the country. We know it's significant. We know people need to get in front of it, and we are committed to that. But there's other locations around the country, and we also have what we call demo kits. The demo kits are smaller. They're roughly 81-inch diagonal units that ship around the country. And you just open the top of the case, you press a button, it lifts out. We do shows with our reps around the country using demo kits. So it wouldn't be surprising if one of our reps had a show in their local facility where you could come and see direct view LED as well. So more demo units are coming, but if you need to see something, let us know. We may have an install in your area that we can help you get into. It really just depends. So again, we're going to have magnet introduction events, which means high-level press conferences. We're going to have units moving around the country. So that is going to come. We also participate in the CEDIA Tech Summits. It's roughly 12 shows around the country. We do the CEDIA Expo show. And then we also, like I said earlier, our reps may have a show in your area. So, one thing we want to help you understand is that we're here to help you do the luxury presentation. We want to make it easier for you to offer direct view LED through a simple quote process, simple order process. It may be as little as one SKU on your PO will order you everything you need. Comprehensive product presentation. If you need help, let us know. There is real margin opportunity with us. It's a full training is available for you and your dealers. And we can still claim some exclusivity. And one of the reasons for that is we've been very careful how we do business. And so because of that, we're not overly distributed. We have control. You need to be an authorized dealer to work with us, and that happens through our rep firms. So we're trying to do things so that the right dealers are selling us and making the rewards for that. So the other thing we'll talk about in a minute is our commercial products offering, but this is an example of a retail price sheet where you can just see the bundles. And as you can see, we offer a number of bundles. And so the purpose of a bundle is to help you order what you need and not make it so complicated, number one. Number two, what we heard from dealers a lot when we first started this is they really didn't know about direct view LED and they really didn't know what price range they were in. So for example, they might have a $40,000 projector and the screen and lighting control and say, okay, that adds up to about 80,000. What can I get in direct view LED for 80,000 retail? Well, this is a sheet you can have in your, on your laptop, and this will give you at least a reference of what price area you're at. Now, this is not your final quote. This should not be used for quoting. You would still come to us to get your individual quote because prices change all the time. And a lot of times that means goes down. but it also gives you an idea of what you can do with direct field LED. So you'll notice we have things called duals. We have a dual HD and we have a dual 4K. What is the purpose of a dual? Well, for example, if you're hanging a 136-inch screen on a wall, that would be a 5x5 using 25 panels. That's great, but if you're trying to do a lot of little windows, it may not be big enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a second 136 screen next to it. We're going to take the original 136 image and move it to the middle. Because it's seamless and because it's direct field LED, when we merge those two screens, it's still going to look like one screen. So we're going to take that middle and use that for our main image, and we're going to put windows on the left and the right side. So the purpose of dual is so that I have more footprint and I can do things like tiling or windowing and make them look bigger. So here we give you an idea of what a dual will look like and how much it will be. So I urge everyone to sell the last item on the list, which is the 325 8K. That will be a super impressive unit in your customer's home. So as I mentioned earlier, we offer the dealer a lot of benefits. We talked about 5% spare parts. We also have an operating system built in our controllers called WebOS. WebOS allows us to do things that others can't. For example, one of the questions that comes up is, what do I do with my direct field LED wall when I'm not using it to watch TV or a movie or something? And I don't necessarily want to have this black thing hanging on my wall. Well, the really easy answer to that is digital art. And digital art for us is a partnership with a company called Black Dove. And Black Dove will offer your customer 5 free samples of digital art at no charge upon the purchase of an LG wall. And because we have WebOS, we can embed that digital art on our controller. We don't have to have a separate web player and streaming involved. And the beauty of that is things can happen pretty much instantaneously, and I don't have to worry about lag time, and I don't have to worry about my wireless. So Black Dove actually uses LG for most of its demonstrations because we have WebOS built in. I mentioned that we're going to have engineers on site during your install. I mentioned that for 3 years, we're going to go check that wall at no charge twice a year. We do have LG Connected Care software. That is limited. It works on some, but not all of our controllers, but that will offer you the ability to check your customer's controller from your desktop. And then we're going to make your 3-year warranty into a 5-year warranty. Everything we do ships in shipping cases. There are no cartons, no boxes. So if you order a large-scale video wall from us, you're going to get that delivered to you in shipping cases. Now, in the case of the all-in-one that we talked about earlier, it's that big case you see. But in other cases, it would be cases that are only about 3 feet high, 6 feet long. They're labeled with what's in them. So you know exactly which ones has the cables, which one has the modules. So these cases have taken the place of cartons, and yes, you keep them when you're done with them. So to do quotes, we help you with something called the Solution Builder. A lot of our business is custom. You would come to us and say, you're trying to do this in this customer's home. We would develop a quote for you. You would accept it. But how do you show that to your customer? Well, our Solution Builder will produce a really nice, beautiful quote that you can show your customer. Everything's at retail, but it shows your resolution, your configuration, how much heat, how much brightness, etc. Everything's easily explained. So you don't have to come up with some kind of rejuvenation of a proposal to your customer. You can just use what we send you. And this is kind of the first start where we go in with the estimate with the customer, we go through everything. And then when they say yes, then we get into the nitty-gritty dealer quote. Now the dealer quote takes a couple of days because I have to run it past engineers. We are not allowed to just send you a dealer quote. We have to go through a process, and that process includes an engineering reviewing it before it comes to you. So the actual dealer quote will take a day or two to get to you. So from a pixel perspective, we can help you with indoor from 0.7 chip on board to SMD at 3.9 millimeter. From outdoor, we can help you from 2.5 millimeter to 16 millimeter. And again, if you have something special and you don't see it, you're welcome to call us. So because we're part of the commercial division, we offer you commercial monitors. Those are different from televisions. First of all, there's no apps. It's purely a monitor. There's no tuner. This comes typically Crestron connected, which means it's ready to go for Crestron or their competitors. It's a 3-year warranty over a 1-year warranty, and it comes with much higher level panels and power supplies, because a lot of times these are being sold into operations that run 24/7. And so these are LCD over OLED, and the reason for that is that OLED in a worst case environment may burn in, but that, I got to tell you, that's a remote possibility. But because these are run in 24-hour situations, we use LCD. Now, we just introduced the 110-inch. We showed that at CEDIA. It's a beautiful looking display. In January, we'll be offering our own version of the new 97-inch OLED. So in that one exception, we will have an OLED product. If you need help on any of this, our local reps are more than capable of helping quote you what's available and what your dealer cost is.
Hey, Dave, on that 110, do you have a sense of what that MSRP is?
The MSRP on that is 27, dealer is around 20.
Wow. I mean, compared to like the Vizio, which was a 120 at 120,000, that's a deal.
It's a bargain.
It's a bargain.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about our rep network. We have reps covering the whole country. Hopefully you are aware of the rep firms you see in your area. If you're not, please let me know. But we do have rep firms established to help you with anything you need as far as quoting, availability, even maybe getting a demonstration put together. But that does not mean that you cannot call me. You are welcome to call me anytime you need to. In fact, if you're establishing a new quote for a direct view LED, they're going to come to me, so you might as well just come to me. They can help you with any monitor quotes. But again, if you're trying to quote something in direct view LED, you're welcome to come to me to start. And we'll help you again through the process. But our reps are very knowledgeable and available to you if you have any questions. So are there any other questions that we need to answer?
Only remaining question is if that 136 has HDCP 2.2. So I don't know if you have the answer or someone there does.
So in our follow-up email, we will answer that question. But again, I'm 90% sure the answer is yes.
Got it. All right. So I want to, shout out Dave again to the HDA community. If Dave comes into your town and your rep is saying, meet with Dave, I highly recommend it. Dave's got an industry vet with a lot of great stories. We've had a lot of great lunches together. I want to thank Dave for putting together a price sheet, because I can't tell you how many times I have been clueless on what a video wall should cost on different sizes. And that price sheet has been a godsend. So thank you, Dave, because none of the other manufacturers do it. So thanks for making our lives a little bit easier. And again, HDA people, get out there, support our only DVLED vendor that's trying to connect, funding, helping us connect you guys with interior designers, builders, and architects, which is the big push for 2023 for HDA. And the guys at LG are helping us with that cause. So thank you again.
Okay, and if anyone has any questions, they're welcome to email or call me.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks.